Shark here. Welcome to another episode coming at you from ChooseYourRelationships.com. Offer of Love Can't Wait, which you can get on Amazon.com. And let me ask you a question. Have you ever met someone and after a couple weeks or a couple months, you look them in the eye and say, you know what? I didn't know you was like that. Well, I didn't know that. Well, you didn't tell me that. How many times have you said that to somebody? Or maybe you said it to yourself about the person. Well, you know what? I've said that to myself more times than I can remember, and more times than I can count. However, today I don't say that very often. I don't say, well, I didn't know you were like that. Oh, I didn't know you were that type of person. I don't say that too often anymore. I don't say that today because I ask the right questions once I get to know somebody. And I pay attention and listen. I mean, when I said listen, I'm not talking about just waiting my turn to speak. I'm talking about I listen. Like brutally listen. I mean, I'm talking like laser focused, locked in. I listen. I pay attention what people say, what they do, how they move, who they have around them, their, where they hang out at, uh, where they live at, where they work at, their, what entertains them, what motivates them, what excites them. I get to know all of that up front, early, within the first 60 to 90 days, in most cases. So that way, I'm not surprised about anything. I pay attention to their personality. I figure out what type of personality they have. And this is across the board. This is just not for women. Actually, for women it's much easier, in my opinion. But that comes with experience. Time, and it's an acquired skill as well. That's what I would say. But I'm going to tell you 5 questions that can get you started. Of course I ask more than 5 questions, but 5 questions to get you started right out the gate. This is like gonna really. Some of these questions might catch them off guard, but you don't have to necessarily say it the way I would say it. You can put it in your own words, but it's gonna make people think, because most people, they don't ask questions, a whole lot of questions anyway. Most people are just doing all the damn talking. But it's good to just sit back and listen, because people can't help it. They're going to tell you who they are. They're going to paint the picture of who they are. But if you don't sit back and be quiet, it's going to fly over your head, like most people. So when I first meet somebody, I always ask them how they were raised and where they were raised. And the reason why I ask that is because we adapt to our environment. Everybody, most people, not everybody. Some people are what I call a law unto themselves. They're going to be who they're going to be because they've chosen to be that. They pick their position because they're aware of the environment that they're in, and they are aware of who they are as a person. But those people are far in between. You know what I'm saying? So I asked them where they're from, how they were raised. And the reason why I asked this is because I'm trying to see how they think as a person. And most places, I mean, if they're from the city, a big city, most people in a big city have a different mentality versus somebody that's from a small town or a real small town or somebody that's from the country. It's a different mentality. You know, people from the bigger cities, they tend to be, you know, they want to live fast and they tend to be fast talkers and, you know, so it's tend to be a little arrogance there too. So that's what I'm really trying to get to. And I want to see if, their mindset, basically, and how they were raised. I mean, what type of relationship, I mean, what type of family they came from. And that's really what that's all about, really. I'm just trying to get a feel on who they are as a person and the environment that they grew up in. Did they grow up in the inner city, or did they grow up in their outskirts, or like suburbs, or, you know, did they grow up in the heart of the city, or, you know, that's what that's all about, really. And then I would ask them about their religion, if they even practice any religion. I mean, are they a Christian, or they practice Judaism, or Jehovah's Witness, or Muslim, or Hinduism, or whatever. You know, so many different religions out here. I don't know all of them. It's hundreds of them. But how did they grow up? Did they grow up in the church, or did they just go to church because their parents wanted them to go? Did they just going along to get along? It could have been a family thing, like my family, for example. My family, we all went to church. Now, we didn't necessarily go there because we believed in Jesus Christ. No, we went there because our parents wanted us to go. So that's why I would ask that. And plus, religion has most people like kind of in a little, how I would say this. Religion is hypnotic. It has some people kind of like in a kind of delusional. The way they think is kind of like in a fairy tale, like reading a novel. See, a lot of people that are Christians, I mean, they kind of just are cowards, and a lot of them just like to pray. They like to pray, but they don't like to do anything. They don't like to take action. They just want to pray and feel good and go to sleep, go to bed, wake up the next day and do the same thing over again. And when something happens, they just don't like taking action. They just want to pray and forgive and, you know, just keep cycling the same stereotypes and ideas over and over, you know. So that's why I would ask them about their religion. You know, I just want to see where they're at mentally, what they think about religion. I mean, do they practice religion, or how did they grow up in the church, or did they grow up in a Muslim, or what's their if they're a Muslim, you know, they don't eat pork. So, you know, that's a good thing. So, you know, and plus all religions have different rules, you know, so that's the big idea behind asking about religion. And I also like to find out what type of relationship they have with their parents, especially if it's a woman. I mean, what type of relationship they have with her father? Was it a healthy relationship? Did they get along? Do they bicker and go back and forth? or do she appreciate her dad as a father? I mean, that's very important. What role does the mother play in the family? What role does the father play in the family? Does she have any sisters and brothers, and how do they get along? You know, what do they do? The family come together during the holidays, or you know, during certain times of the year? Do they take a vacation together? Do they spend Thanksgiving together? Or do they spend Christmas together? Or do they spend 4th of July together? Or Memorial Day weekend together? Or do they plan activities together? I mean, you know, stuff like questions like that is very important to me because I'm a family-oriented guy, you know. So I don't like, I mean, what type of personalities do they have? You know, I think family is everything to me. My family and friends are everything to me. So that's very important. Someone that doesn't think highly of family, I think I would really have a problem with that. You know, I don't think I would really know how to handle that if I was to try and get serious with somebody that doesn't value family as being very important. But that's just me. You know, some people might differ. You know, but relationship with parents and is very important. And what's her values? You know, what does she believe? I mean, what excites her? What motivates her? What 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 really gets her out of the bed? You know, I mean, what is her what's her priorities in life? What I mean, how does she see the world? You know, values are very important. Everybody have different values, you know, or whatever. But I mean, or do she have any values? You know, some people really just kind of float through life, just doing whatever. You know, they don't really. Some people are very passive aggressive. You know, I don't really think you can be passive aggressive. I don't think you should be passive aggressive. I don't think we were put here to be passive aggressive, but you know, that's just me. You know, some people may differ. Some people think differently about that, but values is important to me. See, if our values differ, we're going to bump heads. So if you meet a woman and your values are different, maybe you believe in, maybe your philosophy is if you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. But she might look at it like, hey, as long as you give me what I want, it's all good. See you later. You know what I'm saying? Some people are like that. Some people don't reciprocate. Some people are not very supportive. Some people like, hey, as long as I get what I want and get what I need, when I need it, how I need it, hey, it's all good. See you when I see you. If you call them up and say, hey, I need a ride to the airport, can't do it. You know? They might not be doing anything. They just say, hey, can't do it because they just don't want to do it. Because that doesn't make them bad people. Some people are just not supportive. They just aren't giving because they haven't been raised to be that way. So I'm a very giving, very supportive person. You know, if it's my friends or family, I'll go above and beyond a call of duty. You know, if it's in my power. But some people aren't like that. You know, they weren't raised like that. They don't see it like that. They don't really see, you know, the value in that. They don't cherish friendships. And a lot of people look at friendship like it's somebody you call up and hang with every once in a while, watch the football game, and you know, see you next Sunday, or see you when I see you, you know, and when football season's gone, they don't even keep in contact with the people. You know, they be like, you know, it's like If they want to go partying, they'll call them up when it's time to go partying. But if there's no partying, it's like, oh, okay, having. And then then if you ask, hey, when the last time you see your boy or your girl? And you're like, oh, I ain't seen them in like 3 months. You ain't talked to them in 3 months? Nah, See that's not a friendship. That's more like a associate or hangout buddy or maybe a fuck buddy. But that has to do with values. But that's just me. And now some people will say, what about the person's background? I really don't think it matters. It really doesn't matter. I'm gonna tell you why. It matters, but then again, it doesn't really matter because you have some people with clean records, but they criminals. They just never got caught. They do a lot of dirt, but just never got caught. And you want to know why? Because they criminals. They have the mind of a criminal. Criminals, the best criminals, never get caught. So they don't have a background trail. And to be honest with you, in the United States of America, it really depends on who you are when it comes to, because you got white collar criminals, they never get caught. A lot of them went to the law school to learn how to get away with shit and do business. And then you got some people that didn't even go to law school, they just learn on their own through somebody else. And if you're a non-white person in the United States of America, you can basically walk around and do what you want. Nobody's looking for you. You get the benefit of the doubt. You got that privilege. So, So that's why I say background checks doesn't really matter. Forget about it. I just pay attention. The more time I spend around somebody, I get a feel of who they are, what they're all about, and I just sit back and listen. So a lot of women will use background checks on a guy. I've had women do that to me, But I know that if they was to get with a white, I know they would never do that to a white guy. They'll give the white guy the benefit of the doubt, But when it comes to me, they go, oh, okay. They'll Google my name and Google my first and last name and see what pops up. And then if they want to take it a step further, they can have these services online where you can use the person's name and maybe where they're from, and you can get a sense of I think they can prove if you have a record or pull up a little bit of information, as much as information as they can about you, basically. So some people take it there because they give like 2 weeks for free or something like that, or 7 days for free. So some people will take it. Some women will take it there too. So see, they're just double standard. See, that's what comes with the white privilege. They can, women give them the benefit of the doubt, white guys the benefit of the doubt, but the rest of us, we got to prove that we are who we say we are. And even then, they still have doubts. Even when they do the background check and everything comes back clean, they still be like, oh, he's too perfect. It has to be something about him. That shit happens. Really. It happened to me like 2-3 times. But it is what it is. And then you gotta ask, I always ask women, what are their goals? What are their dreams? What are their aspirations? What's that one thing they always wanted to do in life? If anything, they might not have any goals. Might not have no dreams. But what are their desires? Desire is everything. That's everything. What excites them? What gets them out of the bed? What are they like? They love football. They love basketball. What gets them excited? What gets them out of the bed on the weekends or during the weekdays or on Sundays? Is it church? Is it football games? NFL football or college football or NBA or college basketball? What is it? The kids? Is it? It has to be. Is it the parents? Is it family? Is it sister? Your brother? Is it traveling, vacations? Is it what? It has to be something that really strikes a nerve, triggers something within them that makes them want to feel alive? Is it? It could be anything. It could be sex. I mean, it really could be anything. I mean, I really like to get to the bottom of what makes people tick. That's what I really like to get to that. I like to get to that as quick as possible because I don't want to invest time with somebody and 6 months later they turn out to be a monster. You know, that's why you have to ask questions, because if you ask questions, all questions lead to answers. The right questions lead to answers. And you know, you have to when you ask people questions, you have to look them in their eyes. And this is very important. You have to look people in their eyes when they ask questions. Now, if someone can't look you into their eyes when you ask them a question, that might be a red flag. And if people, and you got to watch their body language, you know, because a lot of people, they can start, they start getting nervous when you ask certain questions, and you got to watch that too. And that's a skill within itself. That comes with time and experience, body language, and what to look for and all that stuff. I'm not gonna. That's a video for another day. I'm not gonna get in that right now. But you have to really look people in their eyes, because most people can't lie to you if they look you in their eye. If you talk, if they can't, most people can't look you into their eye and lie to you all at the same time. So if you ask somebody a question and they look away, that might be a red flag. Or they get nervous, they might be a red flag. I don't know. It really depends on the person, and it depends on the environment that you're in. But you gotta be careful with that, because you know, most people within the first 60 to 90 days, they kind of putting on a little front, you know. So but if you ask the right questions, you can pretty much get past that front. They won't be able to perpetrate the fraud but so long if you ask the right questions, you know. So those are the 5 questions I ask every woman if I'm on a date, or we're just hanging out, or you know, if I invite her over, maybe for a cookout or some type of shit like that, you know. So if you like what you heard, check out my blog, subscribe to my channel. Until next time, Sharp King is out. Peace.